The number one question I've been getting for over the past year now is, how do you like the disc brakes? How's that new suspension holding up? How do you like it? Was upgrading the axles worth it? So you guys keep asking, so today I'm going to break it down and give you the answers. Of course, I wanted to wait a while and put some use and get some miles underneath them before I went ahead and reviewed it and let you guys know what I thought of everything. So we're going to go ahead and break that down today. We're going to talk about everything I did to basically the undercarriage of my RV down there, the suspension system and the brakes and all that stuff. We'll break down each one. Just basically talk a little bit about it. There's not going to be anything groundbreaking here or nothing amazing. If you haven't seen that video, put that up right here. Go check it out after this, or go check it out, then come back and watch this one. We'll also have a link down in the video description of that video. And to just break it down real quick, that video is basically us. We went to a Grand Design Tennessee rally, and we did the video for a company called Performance Trailer Braking. Now, they are the ones that actually came out and did all the installation work for us. And what we had done was we had upgraded to the 8K axles from 7,000-pound axles. We upgraded to the Roadmaster MORryde Slipper Springs, which were also now 8K slipper springs instead of the old 7K regular leaf springs we used to have. We had the MORryde shocks installed, which is kind of part of the Roadmaster spring system. You can either get it without the shocks or with them. We had the disc brakes put on, and we had the MORryde X-Factor Crossmembers installed. So that was everything that we had done underneath there, and this was about not quite a year and a half ago, but close to that. And I would say since then we've put about 3,500 miles or so on the RV, towing around with it. So let's just go ahead and we'll just give a quick rundown on each one, the differences we've noticed towing down the road on the outside and inside of the RV since. Now I want to try and keep this a pretty quick video today. So if you really want a lot of details about the installation and maybe the pros and cons of each one, or why we upgraded or how each system works, go back and watch the original video. Today I want to try to just touch base real quick on the review of each upgrade and how it's holding up. And let's go ahead and start off with the first one, probably the biggest one, and what I would consider the most important for bigger rigs like mine, and that would be the Kodiak disc brakes. Now, I will say I never really thought I needed disc brakes or would even notice a difference. One of the reasons that we got an F450 was because they do have bigger brakes versus a one-ton truck like F350 or 3500. So stopping was never really an issue for us, as far as I never really felt like I had trouble stopping the camper. But I will say, and everyone was telling me that you were going to notice a difference when you get the disc brakes, and we really did. As soon as we got the disc brakes installed, it was like, wow, it's like you're turning that gain down, because you hit those brakes and they will lock up and you will feel that stopping power. It's almost night and day. It's kind of a large investment. It's a little costly, and all of this stuff can add up. These are upgrades that we wanted to do for over 5 years since day one, but it even took us time to just get the money for it and save up and finally make the decision to do these upgrades. So just a heads up on that. These aren't things that everybody has to get done, or you have to get done right away. You can get some done a little bit at a time, or if you're just taking it on the weekends, it's not even worth it in my opinion. But if you're full-time RVing like we have been for so long, and everything you own is in the RV, and as we know, these RVs and campers nowadays, they're just not really getting built to, in my opinion, getting built to spec from, frames, and getting into that whole issue is a whole nother video. But these RVs should come with a lot higher quality standard on the suspension and tires and brakes right from the factory, in my opinion. That's obviously another topic for another day. But overall, we're loving the disc brakes. No issues, and everything's been great with them. And it's probably the number one upgrade I would recommend getting on your RV if it's a bigger unit, and especially if maybe your tow vehicle isn't quite up to par with stopping some of these larger weight units. Okay, let's jump into the next one, and let's talk about the Roadmaster Slipper Springs. What can I say? It's been, again, almost night and day from the old leaf springs we used to have. From day one, the old leaf springs were completely flat. We broke 2 leaf springs going down the road. Every time we hit the road, every time we hit a bump, we were basically waiting on another leaf spring to break. again, we watch our weight. We have videos, put links up here, how to go weigh your camper, how to like properly tow and do all that stuff. So that wasn't an issue. So not only was it a big upgrade to go to the Roadmaster Slipper Springs system, but to go from 7K springs up to 8K springs was also very important for us. And now, as you guys can see under here, the leaf springs, you know, again, over a year and a half about, they look amazing. The old leaf springs that we replaced, they were even new. Those weren't the original leaf springs, so we had already went through a set. And the new set that we put on, the 7K ones, they still look like crap as well. They were just, you know, immediately flat from the get-go. So I'm loving these 8K leaf springs, and the great thing about the Roadmaster Slipper Springs, in case you don't know, they're not attached in the middle. They're not attached to like an equalizer system, which most of those I'm not a big fan of. They're kind of, you know, poorly made, kind of cheap, and they really take a beating. Now the springs have room to move up inside this box that is basically like bolted into your frame. That's also going to help with the torque and twisting when you're backing and things like that. So the Roadmaster Slipper Spring system, another one that's been great. We don't even really sweat it when we're hitting the big bumps in the highway transitions anymore, and you know, you're feeling that jarring motion like you used to, and you're looking back to see if the camper's sitting uneven because you're wondering if you broke something. It's just such a peace of mind going down the road now with the Roadmaster Slipper Spring. And from there, let's move into the MORryde shock system. Now, this is something that you can get with the Roadmaster Slipper Springs. You can opt to just go ahead and have it installed with it or do it yourself. It's a pretty easy install, to be honest with you. You can get a lot of this stuff right there on eTrailer.com, or you can opt not to get the MORryde shock absorbers. For us, it just seemed like a no-brainer. And obviously, I can't compare the Roadmaster Slipper Springs with or without the shocks, but we just went ahead and did the whole system. And as far as it all working together, it's been great. So it definitely seems like we've had a lot smoother ride overall going down the road, just from what we've noticed inside with the jostling and some things that used to fall and move, not really as much anymore. There's still things that, you know, shift and change in there, of course. And when you do upgrade the Roadmaster Slipper Spring, you don't obviously have to go up, you know, 1,000 pounds to 8Ks or 7Ks, depending on what you're coming from. You can stick with your original size springs that you had. And that just basically brings us into the next one. We did upgrade the axles to go with that. Again, that gives us the comfort, peace of mind, knowing that we do have a little bit larger of a cargo capacity now. Not officially, you can't just get the sticker changed on the side of your camper, but using common sense, we know that we've gone from 2 7K axles, which would be 14,000 pounds, to 2 8K axles back there, which is 16,000 pounds. Plus, you still have the weight of your pin weight in the back of your truck. So we're not trying to overweight or put a lot more stuff in there, but now we do have a calmer sense going down the road, knowing that, you know, we're less likely to break things, and you know, we have broken axle in the past. So go figure, we had a spindle break on the left side of the camper way back in the day, but that's another story for another time. So for us, upgrading the axles was another huge upgrade, and it just really makes sense as full-time RVers, and you are maxing out your weight load in these things. It just seemed like, you know, a no-brainer for us, and of course they've held up just fine, you know, haven't broken an axle. So and the last upgrade we did under there was the MORryde X-Factor Crossmembers. Now, we only did 2 of these, and this is basically an adjustable bar that attaches to your leaf spring hangers. You can do 2 or 3 of these. For us, we only opted to go with 2 because of the Roadmaster Slipper Spring system, and then basically on the middle of the leaf spring hangers, the way that system is mounted just basically shores up those middle spring hangers, and because the springs aren't attached there anymore, you're not getting as much torque and twist when you're doing those tight backs. So we only got a MORryde X-Factor Crossmember on the back leaf spring hanger and the front leaf spring hanger. And again, these aren't super expensive. That's a very easy install you can do yourself. They simply bolt on, they're adjustable in length. And what that's going to do is, again, like I mentioned, when you are backing into sites, when you are backing in that trucks on a 90 and you're pushing those tires and you're really torquing that system under there, it's a pretty known common area for those leaf spring hangers to start to crack and break. And not only while you're backing and doing things like that too, just the motion from going down the road. You know, they're using the really thin, crappy steel. Nothing we can do about that. And that's just going to shore all that up and just basically almost like putting a brace in between there to keep those leaf spring hangers from eventually cracking and failing. We've never had an issue with those, but it was just kind of made common sense for the price. While everything was getting done, let's go ahead and add those on there as well. And again, they've been great. They've held up. There's nothing that's like shifted on them. You know, they're not like bending. You know, we've had some comments where people say, oh, you know, it's cheap, the little bolts are going to move and this and that, but I mean, I go under there all the time and check it out, and they seem to have held up great. So guys, we'll have all the information down below in the video description, mainly if you want to just go back and watch the original video. And that's where we are also going to talk about performance trailer braking, and we dive into them, their system, how they work. They come out to you, they come out to your camper where you're at. You don't have to go to a shop, say like the MORryde independent suspension system, which is a great suspension system, by the way. It's a little bit more expensive, and you have to get on a waiting list, and you have to go to Indiana to get that done. And I would say the pros and cons, and in fact, I'm glad I brought this up because it's another question a lot of people ask me. Why do you go with the Roadmaster versus the independent suspension system from MORryde? And let me just break it down, my thoughts real quick. The MORryde independent suspension system, I do feel is higher quality and better. That would be the pro. The con would be it's more expensive. There's a waiting list, maybe up to a year to get it done. You have to travel to go get it done and actually go to their shop versus performance trailer braking or installing the Roadmaster system yourself right on your own campsite. It's easy enough to do. Another pro I like about the Roadmaster Slipper Springs system is if something does break, those leaf springs have a lifetime warranty. You can get one shipped out overnight, and that's something I can fix on the road. That's something I can easily change out a leaf spring, fix it, adjust it, have the parts. The MORryde independent suspension system, not so much. You're not going to just usually basically get that fixed on the side of the road. You're probably going to have to take it to a shop who knows what they're doing to really mess with that system down there. It's a lot more complicated, and parts not as easily readily available, I would say. So those are some of the pros and cons of why we went with this system. Save a little bit of money. The Roadmaster suspension system I also think is more than adequate going down these highways. Let's say I was boondocking all the time off-road, or I'm doing trips to Alaska with extreme rough roads. Maybe then the independent suspension system from MORryde would make more sense. But for us, this just seemed more than enough, safety factor under there and to improve the ride of the camper without going to the extreme end of the independent suspension system, which I think is great, by the way. It just wasn't for us. So like I said, go check out that other video for all the information and more information on these systems. And I hope this helps some of you guys out, because I know a lot of people have been asking questions about it. Every time I see somebody, that's the first question that pops up, and a lot of questions on the YouTube channel about it. So I hope this video helps you out with the update. If you're maybe on the fence about wanting to do some of these projects, so far I say go for it. I've been absolutely thrilled with them. So as always, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you guys next week.